What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Core Conversations. My name is Martin, and this is what we do Monday to Friday, 10 o'clock. Tela Anderson is my guest today. Dad goals, as always, and we're ready to roll. So, Tela, I'll have you on in just a minute. And, yes, what's going on, Kathleen? How's everyone doing? Hi, Angela. Just gonna send a few little notes here, let some peeps know what's going on. Housekeeping things here. So what online classes and workshops? Hey Finn, how are you doing today? This weekend. If you have any online classes or workshops, please put it in the comment section. So if you're teaching anything, if you have any virtual classes, I had someone just call me right now about virtual classes. Let me know so we can put them in, we can repost them. Cheer you on. There you go. All right, so this week has been fun. We've had, Kathy was awesome yesterday, on Tuesday. Allison, yesterday, and we're talking about micro businesses, talking about the ways that we can run our Pilates studios. And there's so many different ways of looking at what the studio looks like. What's going on, Blossom? And so many different models of success. So I like the fact that we took a lot of time to talk about these things, and I hope that it gives you permission that if you're like a teacher and you're working in a big box gym or you're working for another studio and you're thinking about doing your own thing, one of the main messages that came out of yesterday was that you don't have to pay your dues before you jump into that next thing. You've done the study, you've done the work, surround yourself with the best people and take that leap. And then if it doesn't work out, let me slide back my chair a bit. If it doesn't work out, then make your pivot. Like, you haven't failed, you tried. I think that for myself and maybe for you out there, show of hands if this is you too, you don't take that step out and make those big pivots and make those big changes because you think about the end of it and think that, well, what if I can't follow through? What if this falls on his face? What if it doesn't succeed? What if I run out of money? What if I'm writing out personal checks to pay the bills because I'm not making enough money in the business? You don't start because you're afraid you're going to fail, instead of recognizing that starting is a success and that you can learn as you go. I'm an entrepreneur by heart, so like for me, that's the whole thing. It's like an entrepreneur is the one who jumps out of the plane and makes your parachute on the way down. So I get it. So sometimes I'll just jump out and do stuff before I feel like I'm ready, because the reality is we're never really truly going to be ready. You're never ready to get married. You're never ready to have kids. You're never ready to open a business. Like, all these things are just going to be jumps, leaps of faith. So can I get an amen to that? Amen for sure. It was funny, yesterday talking with Allison, our conversation, I was, listening to some of the past conversations. Tela, as well as Allison, our guests I've had in the past, so we continue to cheer them on and just see where they're at. So I went back and listened to Allison's conversation from yesterday, and it was an hour and 48 minutes. Yesterday, we talked for an hour and 46 minutes. it was crazy. So she shared so many things. So she's so insightful, so passionate, so opinionated in a good way on things, and I like that she has a voice in our space. And I keep come back to the word permission, because the way that she was talking about starting a business, about finding the right people, about having your own idea of what a business model looks like. I talked with Tela about that as well, and she does a great work with like teacher trainings and stuff. The way that you want to do it is right. So I want to just echo everything that she said yesterday. Please watch that conversation where she is doing things, and it's not like she's just making stuff up. Like, she's thinking it through. She has her husband in her corner. She has some great people who have been giving her some insights and cheering her on and giving her some wisdom. So she's figuring out what it looks like to do it, but she's doing her thing. Like, she's not just to go to teacher training, work for a studio, open your own studio, start your own teacher training, rinse and repeat. Like, she's doing it in her own way, and I feel like that's something that we all need to be doing. But it takes us, being confident enough to not be afraid of failing along the way to take those big leaps. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But I was really encouraged by it, to think processes, to think about all these different things that actually make your business run well. She's doing it. Reach out to her. Reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you. I've same thing, surrounded myself with a ton of people who are way smarter than me that have helped me to get to this place. So it's all good. It is all good stuff. All right, Haley. Well, I'm gonna bring Tela on now. Let's get this conversation going, and we'll go from there. There we go. Hey.
Good morning.
You look so fabulous for early West Coast time.
I mean, I've been up for hours. I have one early riser in my house. He's like my alarm clock. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love it. It's good to see you again.
Yes, likewise. You've been
Thank you
busy.
For having me. I am. I've been busy doing the thing. I love it.
There
love
you
it,
go.
Love it. I'd rather be busy than not busy.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yes. No doubt. And as I said, I think it was Brink. It's not busy. It's focused. We got things that we're doing. We're dialed in, and we're focused on our business projects and initiatives and fun stuff. So it's not that I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm just locked in on a few things. So I might not have time for you right now because this is really important.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
No
apologies. We're all doing it, right?
We're all doing the thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So for those who don't know you, which will probably be no one here, but just if you can just say your name and your business, and we'll just go where the conversation takes us.
Okay, well, my name is Tela Anderson. Hi, everybody. I am a Pilates teacher. I am a Pilates teacher of teachers, Pilates educator, online teacher, mother of 2,
Good morning.
Soon to be studio owner, doing the thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, let's discuss.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the studio? What's happening with that?
Yeah, I think like so many other people during the pandemic, life changed, as it does. And, I had been commuting. I had been working in New York at Real Pilates in Tribeca for 14 years. And for 10 of those years, after I had my first child, who's turning 10 this week, which is crazy, double digits. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, but yeah, I had been commuting to the city for 10 of those 14 years. And obviously during the pandemic, that was just not happening. That's,
right.
You don't travel, 2 hours one way and 2 hours back during a pandemic. That doesn't work. So yeah, things changed. And I had to just really take a good look at, I should say I got the chance to take a good look at, what was going on in my life and really ask myself, was that working for me? And,
Hmm.
the answer was, it wasn't, and it wasn't going to work anymore. Especially as my kids got older. Um, so I just started to say, you know what, I think it's time to transition. I've always thought
Yes.
about opening a studio. It's always been a thing. But it
Hmm.
just never, like you said, it's legitimately exactly what you said. It just never felt like the right time. Um,
Yes.
a lot of those years were spent having children. I also had some complications having children,
Mm.
some, hospital stays, long hospital stays, child in the NICU. And unfortunately, I lost two children in like late second trimester. So a lot of those years
Oh.
were just busy. And I really, a friend of mine always dialed me down because I said, I'm disappointed that I don't have a studio yet. And she said, Tela, if you would have had a studio during those years, it would have gone bankrupt. You would have had to close your doors. And she was
Right.
right. So I always thank her for,
Hmm.
dialing me off that ledge. Because, for a long time after everything settled down, I felt like, why haven't you done this? But it
Right.
really wasn't the right time. I
Yes.
needed to focus on my family and my kids, but uh, it's time.
There's something to be said for those stages of life, right? And I think about that too. You get to a certain point and you feel like I should be at this stage.
Yeah,
For the amount of time I've invested, the amount of time I've been in the trenches, I should be here.
absolutely.
And that's a fair assessment because we all know ourselves and we all have standards for ourselves. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's great that you have a friend that can talk you off the ledge and be like, no, you are, I've said this on my Finish Strong Friday post. You're in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely, absolutely, and yeah, this friend is a very good friend in the Pilates industry, and 100% right. Had I opened a business, years ago, not knowing that I would have a lot of financial, stress with medical bills
Stress.
and,
Yeah.
um, you know, so it wouldn't have worked. So right time, right place. And I just,
Hmm.
the pandemic was really hard, I know, for a lot of Pilates studios and a lot of, everyone in general. But it definitely gave me a chance to open my eyes and see that, you know what, it actually is time now. It's time.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there something that you look at, and by no means are we, knocking any of the studios that are out there right now, but is there something that you see the Pilates studios are doing that when you have a space, you're like, this is how I'm going to do it? And whether it's different or the same, like something that really captures you that is going to be the thing that makes your space special?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been teaching for 18 years, so I've learned a thing or two.
Let's
I've
hope.
worked
Yes.
seriously,
Yeah.
let's hope. Um,
Yeah.
but I've worked for some amazing people. I've had some amazing times working for people. Um, and I have learned a couple things along the way. One thing that will definitely be something that I focus and a focus in my studio when I start to bring other people in, which isn't yet, it's I'm starting
Mhm.
with just me, and then we'll move on to hiring people. But when I do hire people, I want them to be invested in the business. I want it to also serve them as well. I think,
Yes.
when you have a business, it can be two ways, and I see this in the Pilates industry. It either only serves the business owner, and it
Hmm.
does it. They don't really. It doesn't matter if it serves the people working for them. A lot of
Right.
times in the Pilates industry, I see it all the time as a teacher of teachers. You pay a lot of money, you get certified, and then you go to work for somebody, even the people that certified you, and they aren't paying you enough money to even make it. You can't make a living.
Yes.
And let's say you have a large studio. I do see this. You have a large studio and a lot of people working in that studio. And besides the big people, besides your lead or top trainers, a lot of the people just getting certified will come in for an hour, right? Like for
Mm-hmm.
one shift, 1 hour, and it's like, how are they going to make a living? Because you basically you're employing too many people, because
Yes.
like I said, it's serving only the person at the top and not the people working for
Right.
you. So that
Yes.
was one thing that I really thought, when it comes time to hire somebody, I really want them to be invested in the business as well. I want it to serve them as well. Um,
Yes.
and so that will be a main focus of my studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want, even when it comes to the people that walk in my door, my customers, I want it to be their studio, their place, some place that they come,
Yes.
and it's also theirs. They can own it. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I want it to be very community based, and it should serve the people coming in and paying money, and it should also serve the people working in it.
Yes, love that. And the community base, as soon as people say community base, I'm like, huh? What? Like, say more about that. Because that's like, even Allison yesterday, like, she was looking at different spaces and found something in the area where she lives.
Mhm.
And now she's excited about the fact that now she gets to serve her community as well as do her own thing and make her own money and make it almost like a co-op. That was
Yeah.
my wording for it, where people can come in and they, as teachers, can have ownership of the space as well.
Yes.
Instead of being
Absolutely.
employees, they're owners of some sort. So
Yeah.
there's Michelle. See,
And
obviously.
I can say one person who did an amazing job at that was Blossom. I worked long time ago. I worked for Blossom,
Hmm. Cool.
and she definitely gave me ownership over my own business, and
Hmm.
that is actually kind of like the model that I'm looking towards when it comes
Amazing.
time to hire. It just it needs to serve everybody. Yeah.
Everybody. Well
Everybody.
said.
And I will say this, for the past like 5 years, I've told every apprentice that trained with me, you need to have your own thing. It doesn't matter how
Hmm.
small it is, have something that's yours.
Yes,
Something. I
absolutely.
don't care if you go and train somebody in their house one day a week,
Hmm.
or, online, or anything, start a blog, start
Yes,
something that is yours while you are working for someone else. Still keep something for yourself and build on that.
absolutely. I'm gonna read Joe's comment here.
Yeah.
I'd like to have the pay based on how many clients they have. It makes them have to hustle to get more clients as well as clients from the studio's marketing. Just an idea for you. So yeah, so there's and Joe's doing
Absolutely.
a great job with this studio too, right? So
Yeah, that's
there's
awesome.
and you see Alexa, right? Alexa's running her business, and she's in Joel's space, and it's like there's a sense of ownership when you have a confident leader, that there's no threat. And I've been in big box gyms and spaces where you see the leadership is so threatened by emerging leaders that they're
Yes.
like keeping them under thumb so they can't have that expression, so they can't be
Yeah.
all that they're like. I'm
And
all about
that's
people reaching their potential, right? So you
yeah, and
see that
that's
and you're like,
so sad. Yes, I
so
see that
sad.
all the time. And it's really sad. I definitely have been in that situation as well. And it's sad. Like, we should be surrounded by people that want to see us
Mhm.
be who we are and be a full potential. And the funny thing is that I really think it's the opposite. Instead of leading in fear, shouldn't we be
Mhm.
the example, right? And be pulling
Yep.
people up with us as we go, especially if we are in, into educating in Pilates. We should be the higher we rise, the higher everybody
Yes.
else rises, right? So
Yes.
you should want to see everybody succeed, and that is my goal.
Absolutely.
I will continue to do Pilates education, mentoring,
Mhm.
teacher training, and all of that. And the whole point is the better I am, the better they are. So
Well,
you know,
can I add to that?
yeah.
Finish your thought, but I want to build off of that. So it's
I look at a lot of people that I've certified over, the last 16 years of being a teacher trainer, and I'm so proud of what everyone has accomplished. And I'm a small part of that, but like, I love to see them thrive. And, we need
yes,
more of that in this community instead of the leading with
absolutely
fear and keeping people under, you know?
right.
So I was going to add to that and say that there's been times when I was teaching a lot of boot camps where I would
Hmm.
hire someone better than me, like someone that I know is just accomplished and has like products and stuff
Yeah.
that just really is actually better than me. Because I think I've arrived as a leader when I have another class on my schedule and someone's like, "Oh, Phil's not here today." I'm like, "It's my show," but they want to see there's, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they're disappointed that my coworker is not there because they're so looking forward to that person.
Yeah.
That's when I'm just like, okay, now we've arrived when
Yeah.
people are looking forward to it not being the Martin Reed show, but we have something with fantastic teachers that people are excited to be with more so
Exactly.
than me. It's like a barber shop, right? Where everyone's like, I'm just waiting for that guy,
Yeah.
and everyone else is like the underlings, right? I hire people that are more talented, that have different gifts that shine in different ways,
Absolutely. There's room for
you
everybody. But
know?
also, don't you, in thinking about hiring, and I will say, I have to say, I've experienced some things not so great in the Pilates community, but when it came time to opening my space and building it together, I had so much help from people. So many people jumped
Amazing.
to be like, hey, Tela, we got you.
Yes.
That was amazing. That was such an amazing, it really was such an amazing thing to see because, I had for a long time seen the opposite where it was like, you know, let's keep you here.
Yes.
Um,
Everyone for themselves.
yeah. But it's like, in thinking, I want people walking in this door and having an amazing experience. Doesn't mean that I have to give it to them. You know,
Hmm.
I also want a day off and a vacation, like, and I want to
Thank
make
you.
sure, right? Hello.
Yeah.
But I want them, whoever I hire, I want them to be amazing. It has to,
Yes.
like, first of all, build your business. Like
Hmm.
you have to have something for yourself, but I want you to give everything that you have to my people, right? And
Yes.
it's just, I think there's room at the top for everybody. And the
Hmm.
better you are, the better your business is, the better the people under you are. It's a win-win.
It is.
It can it
Absolutely.
it can be a thing. We can actually support each other.
Yes. Absolutely. So my question for you then is when it comes to pricing and how do we bridge that gap to make Pilates accessible,
Hmm.
but also, you know, there's a sense of it being exclusive and then being accessible, and someone comes in and is like, a private session costs too much money.
Hmm. Yeah.
What are
Um,
you gonna do about that?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of help on that. I've talked to some really awesome business owners who have, talked the talk with me. And that is a big thing for me. I do want Pilates to be accessible to everybody, which
Yes.
means that, you have to charge what it is you're worth and what it
Hmm.
is that how much do you need to make in order to keep this business open and to live
Yes.
the life that you want to live, right?
Yes.
I actually do have a business coach and she's like, can you, numbers, I want numbers.
Yes.
um, she doesn't mess around with me. I'm like, do I have to? Yes, you have to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what am I going to do about that? Well, number one, something interesting that I did learn from my business coach because I said, do I start with this price point or this price point? And she made a really good talk to me. Like it's really hard to raise your rates, right? Once you start, you're going to get a
Yes.
lot of pushback from raising rates right away. So, start with what you want, the highest tier. And then if you need to, you offer different services. Okay. They can't afford a private. Well, you have all these group classes, right? You have group
Hmm.
equipment classes, right? That's a smaller price point. You have group mat classes. They can do that. I also have my online workouts and Ala Moves. All right. You don't want to come in and pay that money. Well, you can still see me
Hmm.
on Ala Moves, right? I got a library there.
Yes.
Um, so but in order to make Pilates accessible to everybody, you have to get paid. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if you're going to offer, let's say online classes, or if you're going to have a YouTube channel that people see you for free, you have to get paid first in order to make it more accessible to
Yes.
different communities.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
If I'm getting paid, making money, not being overworked, I can absolutely go to a school and teach a class once a week for maybe not that much money, but it's community service, right?
Sure.
Uh,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? So, charge and ask for what you are worth and what you need to make, and then from there you offer different tiered services.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, you know.
I still use that old school funnel perspective, and maybe there's a new school way of looking at it, but your Allo Moves classes, your community classes, your free, or like pay what you can type classes that you may do somewhere that bring 20, 30, 40 people in, that's your funnel. Because there's
Mhm.
going to be one person in there that is interested and wants to do a group class, or two
Absolutely.
people, or that
Hmm.
one person may be like, this is perfect for my husband who hurt his back at work, and then you got some privates, and then
Hmm.
you know what I mean. So if you have
And
this
yeah,
big huge funnel that everything's narrowing down to your privates, that's fantastic. You're touching
hmm,
more people. Like for me
absolutely.
here in Mississauga, like I want to get every resident doing Pilates, right? So I mean, like
Absolutely.
that's only going to happen in a massive way if I have big classes that funnel down to private. So
Absolutely. And that is, that's the thing is, Pilates can be and is accessible to everybody, but as a Pilates teacher, you have to sit down and figure out where, like, how you are going to make your money. Because I had this conversation with Linda Lippin a couple weeks ago, and it was centered on, I was looking at this. It was an article in some magazine. I don't even remember what it was, but the title, I'm going to get this wrong, but I'll try.
go
The
for it.
title was "The Pilates Class You'll Probably Never Get Into," and I was like,
Okay.
"That's fascinating." And I clicked on the link, and it was about a woman who, and I don't know if it was just left out of the article, but she was charging like $500 for a private, and it was just interesting because I didn't see anything about her education, or it just was. I was like, so you have on one side of the industry, people charging or making way less than their worth and
Right.
not charging enough, and then they're not making money, and then eventually they end up leaving the business. I see that all the time. I've trained so many people over the years that are no
Yes.
longer teaching because they couldn't make the business serve them. They couldn't make a living, so they went on to do something else. Then you
Hmm.
have on the other side of the spectrum people charging $500 for a private, and so you're like, wait. And I'm not, I maybe I missed it, but I didn't see that there was much education there. So because I believe you
Hmm.
should charge what you're worth, and as if you are bringing in more clients, if you have had a lot of years in the industry, you can charge more, and you should.
Invested in your education, and yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. All those
we
metrics.
invest a lot of money in our education, right? A lot. I
Yes.
mean, I don't even want to know how much I've spent over the years,
Right.
training and taking classes and workshops, all worth it. But yeah,
Yep.
we invest a lot of money in our education. You need to get that back. You're worth it. Um,
Yes.
but it was just it was just a fascinating article to read. Like, so no
Mm.
education, charging $500 for privates to, it just really kind of boggled my mind that you had one side of the industry that I think there's a
Yes.
large side of the industry that's overeducated. And I don't mean like overeducated
Mm.
as, but I mean like they
Right.
are always learning, always going to
Interesting.
workshops, always
Yes.
taking classes, always upping their game and not charging more and not making enough
That's
money.
Well, let's talk about that right there.
Yeah.
Because I have an issue with that because I feel like in the same way people sometimes consume too much food and become large because they're taking in more than they're putting out,
Yeah,
I think we do that with education as well. We
absolutely.
watch a ton of podcasts, we go to these certifications, we take all this stuff in, and then there's no output. We're not teaching our clients new stuff. We're not saying,
Yeah.
okay, well, I just came back from this retreat. My price is going up $5 per session effective in September because I've invested in this much education over the last year. I want to up the level of service to go with it.
Yeah,
That's output for the input that we're getting.
absolutely.
That's not happening.
It's not happening. It's not happening. And I really like I said, like, this pandemic has really let me sit down and take a look at me,
Mhm.
how what I'm doing, but also the industry. I really was like, what's going on in this industry? And
Yes.
there really, there really is a lot of that I see, and there's also, in Pilates, obviously we love and respect our elders, and there's kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
hierarchy. But I feel I've had this conversation come up really organically with a lot of other studio owners, about like, second generation, third generation, and how it's almost like no matter how many years you might have in the industry, if you're, let's say, a third generation teacher, you still feel
Come
like
on now.
you still feel less than, and you're
Come
still
on now.
not,
Yes.
a lot of us are still not seeing the light of day, even though I'm like, I have 18 years and like hundreds of people that I certified hundreds of people, like, you know what I mean? And yes, their certification came under someone else's umbrella, but like
Mm-hmm.
these people spent hundreds of hours with me learning from me.
Yes.
But
Right.
so it's like, when do we get to arrive?
When?
It's like nobody feels like they can arrive at this place of being like, yeah, like I earned it. I'm here. And so, yeah, you get that, like, just not asking for what you're worth. You're constantly learning, yeah, everything that you said, basically.
Okay, so with that, then like that sense of when we arrived, I remember when I started back in personal training back in the day, and I'd have all my clients, I would be like 20, 21, 22, and I'd have these executives from big companies, and I remember myself asking them all the time, how do you define success? So they would answer from a place of making big money and having their kids and having their massive homes and stuff like that, what they define as success. So over the years, I was always trying to form what that meant for me. And
Mm-hmm.
that comes full circle to where we are right now. So I trained with Chris Robinson, right? And then
Love.
we were talking about that earlier this week with Kathy, and she's like, "Oh, I read your profile. You train with Chris Robinson. You have a great lineage." It's like, okay, well, that's my white belt. Like, I mean, I learned from him, but I'm still learning from other people as well, and that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. And all that stuff is wonderful, but until I land at what I define as success,
Yeah.
I'll forever be in his shadow. Like, I'm not going to walk around saying I was trained by Chris Robinson all day long.
Right.
I'm going to walk around as Martin Reed with whatever I define as success defining me. And maybe it's not the studio behind me. Maybe it's not the podcast. Maybe it's whatever it is I lead with
I love that.
is what I
Yes.
define as my success. So my success isn't defined by who I train with. My
Right.
success is defined by how I define success for me.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think, yeah, I just think in this industry, it's just very, it's actually really fascinating to try to, because I'm in a new role. Like although I've had like small tastes of, studio
Mm-hmm.
ownership, renting space from people at times. I've never I've always been boots on the ground, right? On the
Yes. Front
floor,
line.
training,
Yes.
right? I'm on the floor, I'm training, I'm answering questions, I'm showing this, I'm
Mm-hmm.
showing that. But I never had to do the behind the scenes. Let me market this. Like, how do I, and
Yes.
so that really made me take a look at the industry, and it's kind of fascinating to me.
It's
But yeah,
good.
you have it, right? But you have, what I was thinking, there's so many amazing instructors out there that just nobody knows about. Nobody knows about,
Tila,
you know?
I have discovered so many on the show that,
Yeah.
yes, they're gems, absolute gems.
Amazing.
Uh, Amazing people.
Yeah. And, it's kind of cool. The pandemic has made it so it's one of the most amazing things that happened is that I'm like, I can train. Who are you? Hey, you got any
Yes.
classes? Let me take your class. Who are
Hmm.
you? Hey, and so I love it. I love it. It's like, what's going on Tuesday? I don't know. Maybe Matt has a class. Let me check.
Right.
I
Yeah.
love that. It's a chance. It's been a chance, just like your show has been, to meet new people and take new classes. And I love that. But in the
Hmm.
industry, it's just not, a lot of people just aren't going to see the light of day. Maybe it's because who they train with. Maybe it's because they're classical or maybe because they're contemporary. There's that whole thing that goes on.
Right. Yes.
And I choose to throw that whole thing out the window because I don't care if you're a classical contemporary. That's not what makes you a good teacher. Like, that label isn't what makes you a good teacher.
Right.
A good teacher is a good teacher. It doesn't matter what label they have.
Yes.
So, yes, I'm a classical teacher. Do I like contemporary teachers? Absolutely. Like, it's
Yes.
just not, it's like is that why is that a thing? I don't get it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. A couple of comments here from Joel. So Joel had books and films. Really studying and meditating on those can bridge the generation gap.
And we're talking about the different generation gaps here. And then the second comment was, there are second generation teachers in the industry that really just don't get controlled, in my opinion. Helen says, it's not just who you train with
your training and how you develop from that point of contrology. Oh, yes, I don't get contrology earlier. Right, and Gloria Gasperi said, like, there are good teachers who know 5 exercises and bad teachers who know 5,000 exercises.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
That's pretty much accurate, right?
That's so accurate.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. I might steal it.
There you go. It's all yours. Yeah, so quick shout out. I don't know if they're still in the room, but Roti Vibes is following us. It's a local restaurant here in Mississauga and Streetsville. If you like roti, I just wanted to just send a shout out to them because it's so random to have a restaurant on the chat. So I actually just ordered from them while I was doing my rental earlier this week. So it's pretty cool that they're following. I don't know any connection there, but yes. And I love actually having people from different industries on, and I might actually reach out to them to talk on the show, because there's a sense that we're still all service industries. Mm-hmm. So I talk at a high level about, we're talking Pilates now, but generally speaking, we're service industry. We're not selling pens, right? We're selling a service that we're in control of, the quality of the service. So it's just interesting. So I'd love to hear how they're doing it, but yeah, good for you. And as I was talking with Allison earlier this week, there's a sense of overcoming fears and overcoming, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to have your safe space of teaching your teacher trainings and then just fly in, teach a class and fly out, or like make some content. It's another thing to be able to keep the lights on somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of, I'm going to admit, I had a lot of fear about doing this. And I think a lot of that comes from, I'm not going to get too personal, but a lot of that comes from, I'm the breadwinner. I support my children solely. Long story, but I do not get help from my ex-husband. So there was a lot of fear. Like I got people to feed,
Yes.
But I really just got to a place where it was like, I could not be happy or healthy if I stayed in the position that I was in. I really, for my health and for the health of the family, I had to jump. And I will say, and that's why I love community so much. I will say that so many people jumped behind me and were like, "We got you."
Yes.
And
you can do this.
I really have such a big space in my heart for these people because, that really helped me just take the leap and jump. It was having people behind me that said, "You know what? You can do it. We'll help you."
Yes.
So
love it.
Means the world to me. And we're doing it. But that's what I'm saying is it takes community. No man's an island. So, that actually goes to show how you have treated people in the past is going to come back to you.
Yes.
It's going to come back to you. When you need the help, it comes back to you. And that goes the opposite way, if you've not treated people so well, might not go, but all I can say is I have a big heart for our community, and a lot of good things came back to me, and I'm very grateful.
Do you ever feel like you're in this place where you have to call in some of those favors in the sense of you know what I mean?
I did. I had to.
Yes. Exactly. And that's a hard thing I find for me where
Yeah.
I love supporting other people, as you can see from these conversations. I love
Yeah.
cheering other people on. And then when I'm starting to open my studio and then do a podcast and stuff, now I have to put in some asks
Yeah.
to follow
Yeah.
you, refer, can you connect me with so and so? Like it
Hmm.
feels weird having to ask, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I've been giving for 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's going to say yes if I could just get over myself and ask.
It's so,
You know what I mean?
I know it is so true because like you
Yeah.
said, we're used to being, always the giver, not so much the taker, but same thing, after 18 years, I have had to be like, hey, I need your help on something.
I need your help
And
on something.
like,
Yes.
it was crazy because I'm just, I can do it
Independent.
myself. Can do it myself. And I've gotten to the place where I'm like, I actually can't do any of this by myself. Hey, I've literally been like,
Yes.
on here trying to fight with a website. I've been calling in favors left and right. left
Good
and right.
stuff.
Left and right. I'm like, you know what? I can't do all this on my own. I don't know how to build a website. It's not my thing. But I've called in a lot of favors and it felt really weird, but it also was shockingly surprising how willing people were to help.
It's humbling.
So humbling. Yeah. So humbling. Even the equipment, because of the pandemic, ordering equipment was so back ordered. So when when I found this space, I jumped on it, but then I was like, how am I going to get equipment? Because it's 6 to 8 months out right now to order equipment. I'm like, I
Yes.
can't wait 8 months to get equipment, right? And
Hmm.
this space won't be here in 8 months.
Right.
um, but I called in a large favor, and I got equipment like that. I was like, hey,
There you
I'll give a shout out. Pilates Pro Maintenance. Thank you.
go.
But, I did. I called in a favor. I was like, listen, I literally found a space. I got to take it, but I need equipment. Can you help me? And they're like, we're on it. We got you. Don't you worry. And literally, like 2 seconds later, they were like, I got you.
Yeah. That's
um,
amazing.
I mean, amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a question philosophically, and this is for the people in the comment section as well. I was talking with a guy one time, and he was saying that, you said I have people to feed, I have kids to feed, and he was single, and I had kids, and he was saying like, I was saying to him, if I didn't have kids, I could just jump up and just travel around the world and just make money and just chase after every opportunity because I have no anchor. I would be free. Like I feel like I don't have to be anchored to Mississauga and all these different things. Not in a bad way, but like the sense of responsibility. And he, by converse, was saying, goes, actually, I wish I had kids because then I'd be more motivated to stay with stuff and to grind on it because I have mouths to feed.
Interesting.
Interesting.
That
So
is
for you out
interesting.
in the chat, which one do you think you lean towards? Because I was like, if I was free, I'd be working in Dubai, making $100 an hour. And whereas he's saying, well, if I had kids, I could stay and just grind and not just jump from opportunity to opportunity because I actually have something to work for, someone to live for.
I definitely would say, I mean, I agree with both. I think having, I wouldn't mind being in Dubai right now, working. I saw something crazy, like some crazy offer to go to the Maldives for a year for like $30,000. I was like, oh, right. I got people. All right. We got to stay here.
Right.
But I was like, if I was single, I'd be teaching Pilates in the
Deuces.
Maldives right now. I
Right.
mean, it was something
Yes.
crazy, like stay in this gorgeous, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It was because people weren't traveling. But I was like, if I was
Yes.
single, I would have done that. But um, I do think, for me, children has given me more motivation.
Yes.
Because like you're kind of like, solo, you could afford to fail a little bit, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you don't want, as a mother, like, I can't have people go down because I went down. You know, like you
Right.
got
Yes.
it's sink or swim. And I always tell people like that's actually, you know, long story short, why did I end my marriage? Because it was sink or swim. I have
Hmm.
people, it's either I go this way and we all go down, or I separate
Right.
and we all go up. So I chose my children and we have a healthier, happier life now. But yeah, sink or swim,
Hmm.
you know?
Well, here's the comment. So Joel's saying having mouths to feed and a house is a huge motivation to tirelessly keep working.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michelle's saying my responsibility to my kids when they were young, and now it's my turn. So you pay your dues for a season,
Yep.
and then you can jump. And then Scoop Flies PT saying it's tricky. You want to grind for the betterment of your family, but it's important to be present, and kids want your time more than anything. Right. So there's
Absolutely.
that pull, right? So there's
There's
that
definitely a
pull of wanting to
pull.
be present.
But that's also part of why I really was like, it's time to start my business. You know, my kids are
Hmm.
old enough to see this. And also, you know, to build a business from scratch meant that I could build it working around them, meaning like making them a part of this business.
Yes. And they can
They're a part of
see
it.
that growth.
They can
Yeah.
see the growth. They can be a part of it. You know, they 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 helped pick out the paint colors, and you know, we took them. We went to the
Hmm.
Home Depot. We were like, all right, guys, let's. You know, my daughter got her my daughter is totally the decorator. You know, she's in charge of taking care of the plants because like Mama doesn't have a
Hmm.
green thumb. My daughter is legitimately just like my mother. They both have green thumbs. They both love to decorate. I'm like, I don't, I can teach Pilates really well.
Right.
Can I keep a
There
plan
you go.
alive? Not really.
No.
No, not really.
Right.
So, you know, I gave them jobs in my business. So we all are
Beautiful.
invested in this business. It's theirs as well. You know, this is for them.
Yes.
I have a candle line. I make candles, and that is actually
Oh, do
for
you?
them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's actually
Nice.
for them. So when they are a little older, that is literally that'll be their company.
Nice.
They can take it on their own. But for now, my daughter picks out the scents and the colors and that kind of thing. But
Mm,
I really wanted to make sure that my children didn't maybe make the same mistakes that I made, which was not having something of your own,
interesting.
not learning. You know, you're not really taught how to own your own business or you know do your own
Mhm.
thing, invest in yourself, and that was something that I really wanted to teach my kids.
Is it to have ownership or to have expression?
Both. Both, but you know, I definitely was in places in my life where I had neither,
Hmm.
you know, and that's just, you know, I learned from my mistakes. You it doesn't matter if you work for someone else. I really do believe you always should have something for yourself that you can take ownership of, and that you
Yes.
can be invested in. You know,
Yes.
it's one thing to invest in someone else's business. It's great, fantastic. You know, I hope you're getting what you need out of that. But you should
Yes.
still always have something that is yours in your back pocket.
Absolutely. Even within the job, I always say their vision has to align with your vision.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It can't just be for money. I'm not just doing this for money. You need me as much as I need you here
Yeah.
in any context. So if my personal vision aligns with their vision, then we have a job. Then we can work
Yeah.
together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If
I
one isn't being having expression, then we have to discuss where we're going.
exactly. And you know, I look back I worked for somebody once and I worked for a lot of people, so I'm not singling out anybody. Um
Mhm.
but I did work for someone once and you know, they said to me, and it's funny because you know, I remember being taken aback by it and being like, oh gosh, why would you think that I'm, you know, and now I have the completely different opposite. So what they said to me was, you know, I was teaching a lot of hours at this place, and the person said, you know, it's not about you. None of this is about you. And at the time, I'm like, oh, of course not. It's teamwork. We're all, you know, teamwork, teamwork, teamwork. But now
Mhm.
looking back, I'm like, actually, this is about me. Wait a second, you know, and so it's just so funny,
Mhm.
like looking back at in my younger years, how I responded to
Yes.
said comment. And I was like, oh gosh, no,
Mhm.
it's not about me. You know, we're teamwork, you know. And now I'm
Wow.
like, actually, this is about me. This is
Yeah,
about me.
how many times have you played that conversation over in your head?
So
How
many
many times have you
times.
replayed that?
Well, so many times because it's just such a mind shift. I think about
Yeah.
where my head was back then that I was able to
Yep.
just be like, absolutely, none of this is about me.
Right. Mm.
No, it is about you, which is, why, I want the people that work for me to be invested in it. Like, this is about you. This is about you.
Yes.
It's your life. It's your career. It is about you,
Mm-hmm.
actually. Right. Yeah, I want you to teach for me, but like, this is ultimately about you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah,
So,
that I know it just boggles. I still think about it. I'm like, that
yeah.
boggles my mind that I really had no ownership over what I was doing, apparently at the time, that I
Mm-hmm.
totally, none of this is about me. So anyway, thought I'd share that.
Thanks. Thanks for sharing. I'm sure you're gonna replay it the rest of the day too. Like, oh, I should have said it like this. I should have said it like this. And I should have said.
No, I mean, I just look at it as where I was, how I thought at the time, and it's just been a
Mm-hmm.
very large mind shift.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and in thinking about how I want to run my studio, that's actually where that came from. In trying to
Yes.
think like, how do you want to run your studio? Do you want to just have employees, that they come, they go, but they're not invested? You know, I mean, yeah, obviously, if you pay people what they're worth, they're going to be more invested. But, I
Yes.
want people to also, like I said, starting a business for my children, people that come work for me, I want them to have something that's their own,
Right. Exactly.
you know?
The other part to what you're saying there about the not about yourself thing is the I'm a real student of leadership. So I look at that and I hear the insecure leadership of the person who said that to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing that I always want to check myself on is that like people can have that expression, people can have that leadership, people can make it their own show because their vision is being fulfilled. They're getting expression, they're getting that ownership. And the same way that's what I want. I want people to be excited about the space, not about me, but about the space and what the space and community
Yes.
means for everyone, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that just speaks to a lot of the ego that is in the industry. There's a lot of ego in the industry.
In the fitness industry, like not even
It,
just Pilates
I was
industry,
actually
like
going to say in the fitness industry because I started out. You read my mind. I started out in the fitness industry. I became a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor when I was 18, and I will admit that there's so much ego involved in that, so much ego. And as a young trainer, totally had that ego.
swept in there. Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially when I was 18 and it's funny because now I talk about it the opposite way where I'm like, okay, we have these you know, really young, not as educated yet people who are, on Instagram, social media, posing as experts on something that they're
Mm-hmm.
not an expert in. And that it's causing injury. It's causing a lot of misinformation to people. People
Yes.
think I can take this or, do 20 squats a day and look like, no, it's not a thing. It's not going to happen. You can't just do this and lose 50 pounds. That's not the way it's going to go. But, you have people that, maybe their claim to fame was they lost 20 pounds and now they're an expert. I'm like, it's not how that goes.
How do you really feel about that?
I was that person.
Yeah.
I was that
Yeah.
18-year-old trainer that was like, I know everything. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing. I even say I want to go back and be like to the people that I trained when I was 18. I'm sorry. Because I had zero sympathy back then, absolutely. People think I'm hard now? Oh my goodness, I had zero empathy. I was like, I'm a professional dancer, was an elite gymnast. Why can't you do that? I don't understand.
Right.
So I want to go back and be like, hey, sorry about that.
Just to write some letters. You open your studio and just start sending condolences cards to everybody. Like, hi, my name's Tela. When I was 18, I hurt you. Sorry. Come for a free session.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there is a lot of ego in the fitness industry. It's definitely a thing. Not just Pilates, but um, I don't know. I think being a teacher of teachers definitely is probably one of the things that changed my attitude. You know, I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
also coming, I will say, let me actually rephrase that. Going into um, teacher training programs as a student, I think is what changed my ego, the ego side of it for me. When
Okay.
I switched to Pilates,
And you had to learn a new language.
yeah, being a beginner, and that's actually one thing that I
Hmm.
strive to do. I'm always a beginner at something. If you know me, you know I'm starting something. Whether it's I'm going to start
Amazing.
private ice skating lessons, I'm going to start learning to crochet. I think
That's
it's
good
really
stuff.
important to always remember what it feels like to be a beginner. Um,
Yes. So
yeah.
well said.
Um, and to be in that vulnerable space, I think a
Hmm.
lot of times it's taken advantage of.
Yes.
Um, and that is one thing that I really did when I became a teacher of teachers. I really did strive to make sure that nobody ever felt, nobody ever, not insecure, because you're going to automatically feel insecure, but nobody ever
Hmm.
felt like they were beneath me.
Yes.
You know, I always,
Yes.
I always strive to treat people as if, hey, you're going to be working beside me at some point, right? Like
Hmm.
you're going to be in my community. So it's like, I treated everybody just as I would, treat another teacher.
That's
You're
good stuff.
you're a human being. You're a human being. I'm
Yes.
going to treat you like a human being that has
That's
questions.
right.
What's your question? Right. Yeah.
Yes. Danny's
Um,
comment here is to be a student is to be the best teacher.
absolutely.
And then Joel's comment, total side note, what headset do you have? Your voice sounds so amazing and clear. This is
Thank
true.
you. This is a really fancy headset I got on Amazon.com, and I'll be happy to put it in the link in the comments. I think
Does
it
this
was like $30. It was
does
yeah,
the sultry voice come with it too? Because you just sold it so beautifully there.
sold.
If and if you act now, you can.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. No, but I love it because I'm in my studio right now, and right next to me is a dog groomer. So there a lot of times there's dogs barking, or
Right.
like the hair, like the dryer thing going on. So
Yes.
I do a wired headset, so there's no
Interruption.
outs. Yeah, interruption. You don't hear like 10 dogs barking, or
Wow.
you
There you
never
go.
you never know. You never know when that's going to happen. So I just
Right.
avoid it. Yeah,
So that's our tech talk with Tela for today, and that was awesome.
love it.
The just read it. We missed some of the comments because we're just flying through here. So
Yeah,
making some excellent points here. Tricky, good stuff. Nice. So good catching up with you.
I loved it. I loved it. Very honored to
Hmm.
be back on your show. I'm loving everything that you're doing. Speaking of, uniting community, your show has been a major, uniter of said community. I love it.
Thank you.
But like
Yes.
you said, it's a chance to meet new people, see what they're doing. Who are you?
Yes.
I think, in the industry, we're very guilty of just kind of staying in our own little bubble of
Hmm.
people. And so, your show has given everybody a chance to meet new people and branch out, especially, when everything was closed down,
Yes.
you know.
Right. I can't wait to make this like a road show. Just like roll
Yes.
into people's studios and have these
Yes.
conversations. So
That's
that's
that's going to be
next.
amazing.
Yes.
That's going to be amazing.
That's
And that's
that's the
kind of
plan.
like what we had in mind. Juan Estrada, Brett Howard, me, Nicole
Hmm.
from Core Life Culture is kind of the idea that we had when we started Pilates Friends United. It was like, we want to like meet people and do what we love. So like, let's just
Yes.
move around and do that.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit. But like, yeah, it's so amazing to just like go into other people's spaces, meet them. Hey, how are you? Who are you? What do you do? I love
What
it.
do you do?
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Tell me about it. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yes. So when I put this up, can you just put some information about your studio or whatever's coming up so we can cheer you on and just keep following you until the doors open?
Absolutely. Absolutely will do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tela. It was so good chatting with you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you to everybody as well for all your comments, all the fun that we had today. And we are out. Okay, awesome. Okay, have a great day, Tela.
Bye.